During our live session today, we talked about worries and feelings of anxiety and sadness. And the stories that I chose today deal with kiddos who have felt worries and how they deal with it. And I really hope that this helps some kids out there with some anxious, sad feelings. A little personal fact, I have actually dealt with anxiety since third grade. I was diagnosed with obsessive compulsive disorder, which I know a lot of people just kind of think that that is organizing things and cleaning things and wanting to not have germs and stuff. It's actually way more than that. When you have obsessions, you have these intrusive thoughts that you really don't want to have, and it's really unpleasant. And I found that one of the best things to do is to talk about it and not feel ashamed of it and just let people know, hey, we all have weird stuff going on. Like, you're fine. So if anyone ever wants to reach out, I would be more than happy to talk to you about my journey with anxiety and depression. This story is called Ruby Finds a Worry, and it is by Tom Percival. There's our character Ruby. Hey, Ruby! Look how happy she is! Ruby Finds a Worry by Tom Percival. Ruby loved being Ruby. She loved to swing up high. And she loved to explore wild, far away places. Sometimes she even went all the way to the very bottom of the garden. Ruby was perfectly happy until one day she discovered a worry. It wasn't a very big worry. In fact, it was so small that at first, Ruby hardly noticed it. But then the worry started to grow. Each day it got a little bit bigger. It just wouldn't leave her alone. It was there at breakfast, staring at her over the cereal box. And it was still there at night when she brushed her teeth. Look at how angry she's getting with that worry. It just won't go away. The funny thing was that no one else could see Ruby's worry, not even her teacher. So Ruby pretended that she couldn't see it either. But she knows that it's there. And sometimes that's one of the hardest things about worry and anxiety, depression, any kind of mental illness. Nobody can see it, and it's so easily hidden. And people are dealing with this all the time. And kids included. I have had kids in my class who it's very easy for me to tell that they are very anxious. And I'm so grateful for my personal experiences because I think it helps me relate to them and talk to them and help calm them down. But it's so easy to just hide it from other people. And then it hurts you even more. So now Ruby's pretending that it's not there. She tried to carry on as if everything was normal, but it just wasn't. The worry was always there, stopping her from doing the things that she loved. Ruby wondered if the worry would ever go away. What if it didn't? What if it stayed with her forever? Ruby didn't realize it, but she was doing the worst thing you can ever do with the worry. She was worrying about it. Oh man, can I relate to Ruby? You get this feeling of panic, you get this worry in your head, and you want to think about anything else, but all you can focus on is that bad feeling. And you just start to worry that you're going to be stuck with it forever. You won't be. Even if it feels like you will. I promise it will go away. Now the worry was enormous. Oh man. It could barely fit in the kitchen at dinner time. It filled up half the school bus. And it took up whole rows at the movie theater. The worry became the only thing that Ruby could think about, and it seemed like she would never feel happy again. And remember, even though it's this big, none of these other people know that it's there. She's keeping it all to herself and trying to deal with it on her own. Then one day, something happened. Ruby noticed a boy sitting alone at the park. He looked how she felt, sad. And then she noticed something else, something hovering next to him. Could it be a worry? What? It was. Ruby realized that she wasn't the only person with a worry after all. Other people had them too. She asked the boy what was on his mind, and as he told her, the strangest thing happened. His worry began to shrink. Sometimes when you get these bad feelings, it can feel like you are all alone and no one else could ever understand. And when you realize that it's totally normal to have feelings like that and everybody gets them and just how we deal with it is differently, it makes you feel so much better. You are never alone. Then Ruby did the best thing you can ever do if you have a worry. She talked about it. As the words tumbled out, Ruby's worry began to shrink until it was barely there at all. Soon, both of their worries were gone. You guys, I cannot exaggerate how important it is to talk about your feelings. And so many people with any kind of mental illness and bad feelings of anxiety and depression are so scared to talk about it and so embarrassed to talk about it. And for the longest time, I did not want to admit to anybody that I had OCD. I didn't want to admit to anybody that I had experienced depression. I certainly didn't want to admit to anyone that I had seen a psychiatrist and was taking medicine because I was embarrassed. And talking about it and finding out that other people have been through that too is the best thing ever. And it is what it is. You know, I am infinitely happier now. And if I can help anyone else out there with my story, kids, adults, that's fantastic. And so Ruby was sitting there feeling like, oh my goodness, this worry is taking over everything. I'm never going to feel like myself again. But look at her now. She talked about it. She was open with everyone and she realized, I'm not alone in this. And now she's happy again. Finally, Ruby felt like herself again. Of course, that wasn't the last time she ever had a worry. Everyone gets them from time to time. But now that she knew how to get rid of them, they never hung around for long. And that's the key, is just knowing you're not alone. Talk about it. You're not going to feel that way forever. This book, I desperately wish that this book was a book when I was a kid. It's quickly now one of my favorites because I just think it is so relatable and so important for kiddos to know from early on. It is okay to have those negative feelings and you're not alone, and just talk about it. Share how you're feeling. Don't be ashamed. It will pass. And if you guys want to contact me or have any questions, feel free. You know where to find me. Ruby Finds a Worry.